I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with the Crown composer Martin Phipps. First of all, Martin, congratulations on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you so much, Rob. Lovely to talk to you again.
This is your eighth career nomination to date, your third for the Crown. Where were you the day of when you found out you were nominated once more for the final season of The Crown?
I just been for a beautiful swim in the outdoor Lido nearby, and I was feeling good. And then, there it was. There was the text. So I was really happy. Yeah, yeah. It's great to kind of round out the show with a nomination. Feeling very lucky for
I
that.
think I think so too. I think the your piece de resistance is Leave It to You. That track is, it reminds us of the traditional Scottish lament, Sleep, Dearie, Dearie, Sleep, which is the name of the episode, the final episode.
Right.
I must admit, there were tears and it gave me goosebumps. It's a beautiful piece. Talk us through writing it and seeing the final product in that final scene.
Sure. So it was very much a centerpiece of the final season, was this traditional Scottish tune, Sleep Dearie Sleep. And it's written into the script. There's a lovely scene earlier in the episode where the Queen calls in Pipes she wants to hear his favorite tune. And he, somewhat reluctantly, saying this is going to create a terrible din, plays it to her. And that's a very moving moment in itself. So it felt totally logical to try and incorporate it into the score and bring it back at the end. And Peter Morgan, the showrunner, gave it to me kind of really early on, early days of the shooting, and said, "Look, we've got this track. Go away and do something with it." And it's a really interesting thing trying to work around and incorporate a bagpipe theme, because bagpipes are really very limited. There's a limit to the amount of notes they can play, whether they can play in tune, and having to re-record that and then take piece and match it with orchestra and run with that was really actually really hard work. So it was we had to stick the bagpipe player kind of somewhere in the next lot, because he was so noisy and it was busting the microphones. But I think it paid off. I mean, it's a beautiful piece to work with, and what we were trying to do was sort of start with that and then morph into a Crown world and back to our familiar French horn idea, and use that to kind of really reach the end point of the series, which is always a scary and big moment to try and do.
I know the pressure is on. It really has to
Yeah.
land. And I mean, it's really sold by the way in which the whole scene is shot, with the different versions of the Queen that we've come to love over these seasons.
Right,
But I
right,
just
right.
wonder, how much thought went into either making that track triumphant or melancholy, because it is so complex and
Mm.
profound, because it does a lot, and it kind of carries a lot of weight in just a short period of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's I mean, like, I think our kind of mission on the Crown always was to really, to try and bring out the emotion of the characters, to try and bring out the weight of their office and the enormity of the world that they live in, and get that emotion, but without ever being sentimental. And that was really the kind of line we were trying to draw at the end of not, because it could have easily got overblown, or sort of, really trying to force us to feel emotion and be very instructive. And always with music, it's really good if you can slightly sidestep that, and when you're scoring something, and not totally tell the audience what to think, but bring them with you. And so that was the balance we were really trying with that theme. And the beauty of that theme is that it's got a sort of harshness to it, with the bagpipe sound and it feels very traditional. So it's not in itself an inherently sentimental idea. So I had to sort of inject a little bit more warmth into it, and then sort of take it off. And for the final walk, there's the Queen's walking down to her ever after, down that long final stretch through the church. It's Again, it was just very simple solo French horn, and that's something that we've used throughout. And I think it really, it was very much her instrument, and that's what pulled at the heartstrings.
I think if there's ever going to be a course learning about the impact of the French horn on drama and
Yeah,
emotion,
yeah,
they will use your score because it's just
right,
perfect.
right, right.
Here's another tearjerker for you. The
Mm,
moment that Prince Philip, played by Jonathan Pryce, watches Prince William, played by Ed McVeigh, hug
mm,
Prince Charles, played by Dominic West, from a distance, completely
yeah,
destroyed me. Destroyed
yeah,
me.
right,
And this is a moment where your score, I think, takes center stage. It's
yeah,
beautiful, it's melancholy, it's hopeful. That three-note melody that you've
yeah.
adapted from previous seasons, was it rewarding to compose that piece?
Yeah, yeah, really. I mean, it's again, it goes back to exactly what I was trying to say was, I mean, the French horn itself is such a useful instrument in the terms of the crown because it has the weight of the office. It has the sense of the heaviness of the crown that they wear and also the political figures that we encounter. But it also has a very, it's like it's almost solo voice and has a feeling of real emotion and intimacy about it. So it has majesty but intimacy, and that's what we were trying to go for. So that's, again, with such an overtly emotional moment, like father and son moment of Prince Philip hugging, hugging his grandson, and then the grandson, hugging his father. Finally, Prince Charles at last, getting some emotion there. We really wanted to be restrained but weighty with the music, and that just little simple three-note melody with the growing strings, that bed of strings underneath that builds and builds and builds underneath into a real intensity, and then taking William on to see his mother's grave. Yeah. I mean, that was a very useful piece to be able to rework and bring back for that scene.
Yeah, just talking about it, it just really blew my mind. And again, I love
Yeah,
the idea about majesty and intimacy because that's exactly what I feel like you're trying to go for, and you really stuck that landing. It reminds me of this though, Martin, because you're on season 6 of a show. You came onto the show, I think, in season 3,
correct. Yeah,
um, and so you've had a lot of time and experience on the show, and
Hmm.
notwithstanding all the compositions you've written for the show to date, there would have
Yeah.
been new opportunities and new themes or motifs, I assume. Talk me through what was particularly new or new challenge for season 6 that you didn't have before.
Well, obviously, I mean, with each season you get new characters and or new actors playing the same characters, which is sometimes the same thing. And uh, William was the new arrival, and the young, the young guys coming in. And what I really wanted to do with William was try and hand the baton over from Diana and take something from the feeling of her theme and give it a sort of little added innocence and youthfulness for William. And so Diana's theme was this really simple, little arpeggiated harp thing, but it's super simple. Just something that flowed with some high string melody over the top. And it was that kind of delicacy, that again back to intimacy and the delicacy of that sound that I really wanted to get for William. And so I did a very sort of similar kind of very simple plucked, just like it was a kind of a little plucked guitar mixed with a harp, mixed with some little plucked strings, and again very simple, just a little more hopeful, a little more youthful, and but with the idea of passing that down and keeping that lineage going.
So, final question is, when all is said and done, it's been a little while since you've been on The Crown and now you've moved on to other projects. But what will you take with you from your experience on this really once in a lifetime opportunity to work on a show like this?
Oh, I mean, just being part of the legacy and being part of that family was fantastic. I love the French horn. Although I am kind of looking forward to writing something without French horn in it. So yeah, I promise in the next score we'll have no French horn at all.
All right. Well, I'm going to hold you to that. Although, again, these compositions that you've created will live on forever. But
Oh,
let's see what you come up with next, Martin. Thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate it.
real pleasure talking to you.